Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting of the Operations Committee for Tuesday, May 16th, 2023 to order. As we gather this afternoon, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of Council and our community that we're meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Has roll call been taken, Evelyn?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and we have quorum.
Thank you for that. Is there any disclosures of pecuniary interest in any of the matters before us this afternoon? Seeing none, we'll move on to adoption of the minutes from the previous meeting held on April 11th and April 26th, 2023 that were attached to our package. Any comments or questions, errors, submissions? Seeing none, can I have a mover for that? Moved by the member from Laurentian Valley, seconded by the member from Horton. All those in favor? And those are carried. I have no delegations listed at the time of mailing. I'm assuming that's the same. And then we'll move on to Public Works and Engineering Department and the department report, which can be found on page 2. Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. Item 1 is the Treasurer's Report. So attached as Appendix 1, you'll see the copy of the March 2023 Treasurer's Report. Item 2 is the monthly project status report, and I'll caution you to remember this is still early in the season, so the savings that are accruing we should spend by the end of the season, hopefully. Capital Variance Report is also there on as Appendix 3. Item 4 is the Council Bridge Road Tour, construction tour. So we wanted to make sure you keep this open in your calendar for August 10th. We will be taking council on a road tour of the projects throughout the county. So this year we hope to complete $25 million worth of work. So please, details will be forthcoming in your inbox. So stay tuned. Item 5 is the North American SMO Conference. So from April 15th to the 19th, I had the pleasure of attending the American Public Works Association's North American Snow Conference. Their slogan is this, the show for snow. So anything that's snow related, removal of snow, ice control, all that sort of public works stuff is shown at this thing. I did give you a brief of the seminars I attended. I won't bore you with all the details, but suffice it to say, it was nice to learn some new things and see some new things. One of the things I wanted to bring to your attention, though, was the keynote speaker, Phil Gwoke. Very, very energetic man, very, very well spoken. One of the things that rang true for me was this slide that I'm showing you here was, so basically back in the day when we all got hired, the first question was, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And of course, if you were a young whippersnapper like me, you'd say, I want your job in 5 years. So the new generation, that's not how it works. You got to sit down. You have to tell them how their first 5 years of work is going to go, and from this slide, like Mr. Gwoke points out, in the first 6 months you're going to learn your job, and in the next 6 to 12 months you're going to understand what our business is. In the 12 to 18 months you're going to learn the qualities of what it takes to be successful here, and 18 to 24 we're going to line you up. We're going to let you shadow a leader. And in the 2 years to 2 years, 6 month range, we're going to get you an assignment and make you the lead on the task, and then we're going to get you to coach a new person, and then in your 3rd year, we're going to hope you make us better, and in your 4th year, we're going to make sure you apply yourself. So he was a really good presenter, and this was one of the things he pointed out, because it never occurred to me that the younger generation now is they're all about what we do for you, not when we all got hired and what we could do for the company. So I was just a really, really well-spoken, well done keynote speaker. And then, of course, there's a number of sessions that I attended there as well. So interestingly enough, the talk show at the end of the conference was a panel of fleet maintenance experts from across North America, because the gentleman from Medicine Hat was there as well. So three Americans, and everybody is struggling with getting their plow trucks and their equipment delivered because of manufacturers are telling us supply chain issues and stuff like that. So it was a very interesting conversation about how no one's doing anything, because we're at the mercy of the manufacturers. So it was an interesting discussion, and And what some fleets are doing now, like really large fleets, say for Greenville, North Carolina, for example, is the trucks that they were used to dispose of, they're actually keeping those trucks and dismantling them for parts to put them into their new trucks. So very interesting way of doing it, because as he was telling the story, was parts weren't available. They couldn't get parts, so they started doing that with their trucks. So it was good. It was really good. Item 6 on my report is attached as Appendix 4 is a resolution from the Township of McNabb Braeside requesting that the County of Renfrew, reduce this posted speed limit from 80 kilometers per hour to 70 kilometers an hour from Green Meadow Road to Highland Road. And staff will review this and provide a recommendation at a future meeting. And I'll leave it there for questions before we get into the resolutions.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll go back to the beginning of the report. The treasurer's, item number 1, the treasurer's report. Item number 2, the monthly project status report. Item number 3, the capital variance report. As noted, it's early in the season. Item number 4, the road bridge construction tour to happen on August 10th, so we'll add that to our calendars. Item number 5, the conference that the director attended. And item number 6, County Road 2 White Lake Road speed limit reduction request. As mentioned, it'll be coming to a future meeting, and also I would point out that in Mr. Hanrath's report later, there's more information with respect to that. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 7, resolutions.
Thank you again, Chair, and through you to committee. Item 7 is hardened shoulders on County of Renfrew roads. So the recommendation here is that the Operations Committee recommends that County Council approve a 1-meter hardened shoulder to be placed on all eligible county roads as part of the annual capital program road rehabilitation projects.
Can I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation? Member from McNabb Braeside, seconded by the member from Arnprior. Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Chair. And again, through you to committee, significant background here. What occurred in 2023 budget workshop is we updated the benchmark costs, and we actually included the 1-meter hardened shoulders on the roads that we could. So what you see is a $31,200 per kilometer is what it costs the county to do this. Interesting of note is for the 2023 budget, it's only $1.3 million of the $21 million of road work that we were doing. So it's a 6% addition to the road. As you'll read through about the county's active transportation system, which was originally adopted in May of 2012, and then it was updated several times since. But at the 2014 budget workshop, the Public Works and Engineering Department highlighted the benefits of active transportation, identifying the need for active transportation being integrated with asset management, and provided the total capital costs on road projects from inclusion of active transportation from 2010 to 2013 as follows. So 2010 was $45,000, 2011 was $43,500, 2012 was $365,000, 2013 was $606,000. So the estimated cost of inclusion of hardened shoulders in this time period is provided in the table below. So as you can see, we don't only just put in a 1 meter. Sometimes, if possible, we'll put in the half meter if the road width is not there for us. So in November of 2014, the county adopted the Corporate Asset Management Plan, which provided the corporately planned capital works from 2015 to 2024. The Asset Management Plan underwent annual reviews, and with some revisions taking place as needed. So each year, however, the AMP for county roads consistently allocated $150,000 a year for active transportation, based on a cost of $25,000 per kilometer. This would fund a 1-meter paved shoulder for approximately 6 kilometers of road from the capital plan each year. So based on the recent costs of 31,200 kilometers, this would only fund 4.81 kilometers of 1-meter hardened shoulders each year. The rest of the background here is what's occurred is we've been doing the hardened shoulders as a direction of council or committee. What would happen is we would do a project and then the the proponent for that area would come forward and say, you know, we need hardened shoulders. And again, we refer to them as hardened shoulders. It's not active. It's not a full active transportation. So since 2017, hardened shoulders have continued to be incorporated in the roads capital programs where the existing platform permits. So an additional 179 kilometers of hardened shoulders have been applied from 2017 to 2022. So we're averaging about 29.8 kilometers per year over a 6-year period. So in 2017 alone, for example, there was 36.4 kilometers. So obviously much more than what was identified in the active transportation plan. So when Taylor and his team put together the 2023 benchmark costs for this coming season, we included the 1 meter shoulders as a number of $31,200. So what we're saying here is we've always been doing it. We just now have identified it and installed it into our asset management plan, as opposed to dealing with every situation individually. This is now a blanket policy. This would be a blanket policy for where the road width is available. Because there are roads, for example, County Road 65, Centennial Lake Road, certain sections of Calabogie Road that the 1 meter won't fit because we'd have to blast rock and make the road wider. So, given the benefits of hardened shoulders and that they have been continually included in the capital program over the years, at the end of 2022, as I was saying, Taylor and his team updated the benchmark costs and we included it into our AMP. Though 1 meter hardened shoulders would be budgeted for all roads projects, they would continue to be applied only in an existing road platform is already wide enough to facilitate it. So where the existing road is not wide enough to facilitate 1 meter, a narrow hardened shoulder would be considered. So again, if we can squeeze a half meter or whatever we can make the road width is the goal. So with that, I'll leave it for the committee.
Okay, thank you for that. I was going to make a few comments, but you pretty much took it all, so that's fine. The only other thing I would add that I can remember a comment before that with the widening of the road, because there's no weight on the edge of the road, because of the widening of it, the road tends to last longer, tends not to break down as fast at the edges. So there is another advantage to it, so which is handy. So any comments or questions? Member from Armpire.
Thank you, Chair. I realize going forward we're going to do this, but for the roads in the past, are they on the capital management plan, i.e. the road on River Road, for lack of better words, that was done 5-6 years ago? It won't be rescheduled to do any uplift for another 10. If we have extra loot, can you do that now, or is that we wait for the 10 years? I see the CEO smiling, so I guess we don't have the money.
So my understanding would be it would happen at the next time that road is resurfaced. Member from McNabb Braeside.
Yeah, just a note of support for this, for all the reasons outlined. And as you mentioned, Chair, it increases the life of the edge of the actual road where the cars go, and active transportation is a constant ask from the public to make the county more friendly to bikes, pedestrians, and I think it's money well spent.
Okay, thank you for that. Anything further? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? And that's carried. We'll move on to item number 8.
Thank you, Chair, and again through you to committee. Item 8 is the fire radio system. So the recommendation here is that the Operations Committee recommend that County Council approve a new console and radio system be purchased from Bearcom in the amount of $318,710 plus applicable taxes, and further that the cost be shared between the following 17 user agencies: Towns of Deep River, Laurentian Hills, Petawawa, Renfrew, the Townships of Edmundston, Bromley, Banashir Valley, Broodnell, Lindock, Raglan, Greater Madawaska, Horton, Killaloe, Haggerty and Richards, Laurentian Valley, Madawaska Valley, McNabb Braeside, North Algona Wilberforce, Whitewater Region, the City of Pembroke, and the Algonquins of Pikwakanagan First Nation. And further, that the system be placed into the County of Renfrew's Asset Management Plan.
Thank you for that. I hate to do this, but can I get a mover and seconder for the recommendation? Moved by the member from Renfrew and seconded by the member from Horton. Mr. Perkins.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And again, significant background here as well. As committee will recall, on April 11th, staff were directed to research potential funding sources for the replacement of the fire dispatch. Unfortunately, at this time, there's no available grants for such a system. But we did provide a few options for committee. So obviously, option one is the status quo, which is, we wait for failure and then we purchase it when it fails. Option two was to purchase the system with the funds for potential savings in the 2023 engineering capital budget year. Purchase the system with the funds from the County of Renfrew Reserve. Option four is defer purchase of system and place it in the 2024 budget for consideration. And then option five is purchase the system with the cost being split between the 17 user agencies. So you'll see right here, the County of Renfrew did receive a quote for the radio supplier for an updated system at the CAC, the Central Ambulance Communication Center. The total system, including taxes, is $360,142.30, or it works out to $21,184.84 for each participating agency. And again, this is unbudgeted for 2023. And then there's some more background information there of how the system actually became the county's. So with that, I'll leave it for questions.
Comments, questions? Okay, member from Laurentian Valley.
It's through you, Chair. I guess my question is, there's, I guess, 5 options. Is there an opportunity for a 6th option? And that is because the municipalities, they've finalized their budget for the year as well. Would the county share 50-50 with the municipalities on the cost of this? I'm sure some of the smaller municipalities, no different than the county, you have your budget outlined for this year, and it's the costs that are there. So I'd like to put that forth as option 6.
Okay, we'll keep that. I think the discussion is going to go, it may go a little deeper than that, and I'll go to the member from Renfrew at this point.
Yeah, I was actually was a proponent of option 5 with the caveat it may be some, that we add that there might be some negotiation associated with that, because I think, similar to my friend from Laurentian Valley, that I don't see all 17 jumping on right away and stroking a check, to be honest with you. So I think, sorry. So I think I think option 5 makes sense with the understanding, if we could tailor the recommendation that there is some negotiation, because I don't think 17 of them are going to pony up, to be honest with you. But I agree we have to do something as a community, not specifically the County of Renfrew, but as a community.
Agreed. Thank you for that. So I had a couple questions around. So each of the 17 participating, I'm going to say municipalities, but organizations, have been and continue to pay in on a fee-for-service basis. So I guess the question would be is, what is this fee-for-service going towards paying for? And why isn't it being used to upgrade the equipment? Would be question number 1.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to you. Right now, the Ministry of Health bills back to the County of Renfrew for, they bill back, there's a flat fee, first of all, admin fee, and then they bill back to the County of Renfrew based on their services. So right now, what that money covers is the actual people that are working in the dispatch. So, for example, the flat fee is each municipality pays $2,666.80 admin fee. That's across the board, and then it's based on per call. So, for just looking at the 2022 numbers, for example, Bonnechere Valley had 65 calls. They get charged $1,326 for taking that call, and then they get charged another $1,735 for dispatching that call. So then what ends up happening is the Ministry of Health bills the County of Renfrew. In 2022, it was $115,000. And then the County of Renfrew disperses that amongst the 17. But again, it's not for the equipment. It's actually for the individuals that are taking the call in the emergency ambulance center. Hope that helps.
So as a follow-up to that, so are these not the same dispatchers that are dispatching EMS?
Thank you, Chair. That is correct. Yes, they have two consoles. They have an ambulance console, and then off to the side they have our antiquated fire radio system.
I think, Chair, if I can, I think the answer you're asking the question of why are dollars not being put towards capital replacement over the last few years. I don't think we can answer that. I think we get a bill from MOH. The individual municipalities are charged for it. Again, this is a system that is this physical system. I'm not going to talk about the people just yet. The physical system is meant for the lower tiers. We don't use a physical system. It's for the fire departments of all the local municipalities. For this console, the people situation is something different. I think there's an additional $45,000 or something like that, a differential, and we're believing that goes to pay for the staffing time that are devoted to dispatching the fire services.
Okay, so I guess I'm assuming that we've done the evaluation on how much time these people are spending on ambulance dispatch and how much time they're spending on fire dispatch to see if those numbers are correct. Because let's keep in mind that the EMS part of this is 50% funded. I'm assuming, being part of the ambulance system, it's 50%, almost 50% funded by the province. So I wouldn't want to see, and this isn't, I wouldn't want to see our fire services, our local lower tier municipalities paying into the fire service dispatch system that we're subsidizing EMS dispatching system. So that's one. So I'm assuming maybe that evaluation has been done, maybe it hasn't been. The other question that comes to mind is, why are we running two different systems? Why don't we just run one hardware system to dispatch everybody?
I'll take a crack at that, Chair, a little bit. So, gosh, this tale started a number of years ago with my colleagues, Steve Boland, and before that, Dave Darch, I believe, before that, well, to make the very long story short, there is a disconnect between all fire departments and whether to be analog or digital, and it's really that simple. If all of the fire departments were to stick with a system that they all liked, for lack of a better term, then yes, that would move forward. Would it match this BEARCOM system? Well, it would match this BEARCOM system because this one is expandable to, I believe, as I understand it, both analog and digital. But the reality is, what we're discussing today is it's just an old computer system that's breaking down, it's not supported, and has Windows XP on it that no one supports. So the $300,000 isn't even including the people time or otherwise. This is a future-proof system, hopefully, that the fire department, should they gel to a common system, then this would be used. And whether it can be, your question about is it the same as the ambulance one or the paramedic one? I don't believe it is at this moment. It's separate and distinct. And can it be used? I would have to get clarification on whether they could use the same system or not.
Yeah, it kind of, in my mind, it would make sense that this is in the same building, the same room, the same people, that they use one system. It's a dispatch system. I'm not sure why it couldn't be one system, and it kind of doesn't make sense that it couldn't be. Having said that, we'll move on. So I know that annually we budget for significant amount of maintenance and repairs to the tune of $72,000 a year. Presumably, this new system has a warranty, and I believe it's 5 years, that would cover all of that. So that I don't know how much of that $72,000 goes towards maintenance of the EMS system, and how much the $72,000 goes towards the fire dispatch system. I suspect most of it is going towards the fire dispatch system, which the county is going to save. So I guess the question is, similar to Councillor Watt, perhaps the savings that the county will realize on the maintenance side of this old system can be applied to the purchase of the new equipment. So, Mr. Perkins.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And if I may, you are correct. We do budget $72,000 a year, but that's for both our systems. The Public Works has a radio system, and we also look after the fire radio system. In 2021, 61% of the $68,000, $41,000 was used to maintain the fire radio system. So that was call-outs to Bearcom to come and like fix the microphone or whatever hardware, right? Because when the computer actually fails, our county IT department are dispatched to replace a monitor or a hard drive or whatever is necessary. But again, the equipment is so old now that there's no parts left. But yeah, so in 2021 we spent $41,000 maintaining the fire radio system, and you are correct. The agreement that we have here with Bearcom is a 5-year inclusive agreement that will cover maintenance and warranty issues. Thank you.
Okay, so what you just said is we spent in, I think you said 2021, $41,000 on maintenance of this system. Throwing $41,000 a year at a $350,000 system is just not very bright, I don't think. So obviously, but that's on top of that. What Mr. Perkins just said was we're using internal IT resources also. So the costs associated with that, I don't know if you can quantify that or not, but arguably there's some more savings to the county there. So I don't know where to go from here. I know that as Mr. Perkins pointed out, this isn't budgeted in the county, and I know that for me, I don't think any of the lower tiers have budgeted for this unless somebody's created a reserve in the past. So it's going to be a challenge to turn around and send a bill to the lower tier municipality that hasn't budgeted for this. And to get 17 chiefs to agree to something like this. I remember the conversation in 2014 or 2012 or whenever it was. And that's why we still have this system, is because the 17 could not agree on what type of a system to go to. So I think it's a challenge, and I don't think it's going to put this committee, council, or the county of Renfrew in a very good place when we turn around and spend a bunch of money and then bill it to the lower tiers without previous approval from them. So I think we need to have a look at some options here. And first I saw the member from McNabb Braeside.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what were the options that were discussed with the different chiefs, just so those of us that weren't here at the time, just can get in the ballpark of what are these chiefs looking for in general? How many options are there? What's summary of their opinions?
I don't know about today, but just in the past, the only system that was available was a newer digital system. So none of the existing analog systems would have operated under the new system. So every fire department would have had to upgrade all of their radio systems at a huge cost to every municipality. So that's why it wasn't transitioned back then. Now they have a system that the local departments can still keep their old analog, or if they have digital, they can all be used in this new system. So it's much more flexible than what was proposed in, I keep saying 2014, but I could be wrong on the date. But so that was the difference from then till now. Sorry. Supplementary.
Yeah, thank you. So just to confirm then, so clearly if there's costs beyond this central system that would be incurred locally, that obviously that would be the resistance. And so with this system, none of the 17 would have to change any of their existing systems.
That's correct.
Unless they wanted to.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Member from Arnprior.
Thank you, Chair. I'm along your lines of thinking. if we spent the $40,000 in 2021 for repairs, and we buy this new system today, we'll not be spending that $41,000 on that system. So 5 times 40 is 200,000. We save that in, I'm looking to questions. Yep, so anyways, we go the 40,000 times 5 is 200,000, take that off your purchase price, whatever's left over, divide that by your 16 municipalities, and that's what they'd have to pay. I think the municipality would buy into that. Renfrew a couple of years ago was not part of the analog sugar or whatever that system is called, and we've gone on our own. Thank you.
Mr. Kelly, you wanted to jump in.
No, thank you, Chair. So I'm just sorry, and I apologize. I was saying a large portion or some portion of that $40-some thousand that Mr. Perkins is talking about is likely a license fee on an annual basis. It's my guess, but he can confirm that or deny. One thing to consider is that your recommendation before you doesn't talk specifically about options, right? It just says the system is broken, we have to fix it, and the costs are going to be shared. So what I could suggest to you for consideration is that if this was to move ahead, is that it does say cost share, is that further that staff be directed to negotiate with these municipalities and bring back a business case or something like that for how it's going to be shared in the future. That at least starts the ball rolling, gets direction that the county acknowledges the system is broken and we're going to fix it, and then we'll convene a meeting with the local fire chiefs on how it will be distributed, including these 5 options, and even perhaps Councillor Watt's 6th option, or maybe there's another one. Maybe the money tree will fall out of the Minister of Health sky, or some modernization funds or something like that will occur over the next 6 months or so. But in any case, I think that the motion allows some flexibility for staff to negotiate further with how this will be broken out. I think one of the things that we were willing to do as a county was upfront the bill and hold that until the local municipalities are setting their budgets for 2024 and absorb it then and just defer that until that time. But these are options that are open to you, Chair, and to committee.
Okay, thank you for that. So just reviewing the recommendation and resolution here, it says, and further that the costs be shared between the following 17 user agencies. Would the wording be better if it said, and further that a cost-sharing agreement be negotiated with the 17? Because cost share seems to be that the entire costs are going to be shared between the 17 municipalities. But if we come up with a cost-sharing agreement, then it could be different. Does that make sense? Okay, can I get somebody to move that amendment? Moved by the member from Renfrew, seconded by the member from Renfrew. Okay.
And if I could just add, at the same time, we maybe request a delegation with the minister responsible for Emergency Ontario to ask if there is funding, or would they consider one-off funding, because this is not going to be unique to Renfrew County.
Okay. I was going to say, can we do that separately? Okay. So I'm going to call a question on the amendment, I think. That's the way I should do that. Okay. All in favor of the amended wording? And that's carried. Anything further on the amended motion? Member from Laurentian Valley.
Just a comment that I think time is of essence too. If this system is that antiquated, then perhaps we should try and get this resolved as soon as possible, and whether we can put a tentative date on for finalization. Just a suggestion through you, Chair.
Yeah, well, I think staff will take that as direction to get this done as soon as possible. Member from Renfrew.
And again, just if we sort of set a date of end of July and make a request for delegation, then if we can go to the delegation and say, look, it's 320,000, and we think we can cover half amongst our municipalities, plus we're going to have the ongoing maintenance and the changes with cell coverage and everything else coming in, we may have to further invest down the road, so we need a base investment. So So if we could sort of target the end of July, if we can get some kind of a soft move forward proposal, then to present to the minister.
Sure. Does staff need anything more than just committee's concurrence, that that's what we'd like to see, or do you want that by resolution?
We'll ensure the minutes note that request.
Okay. Sure. Any opposition to that?
No.
Seeing none. Member from Armpire.
No opposition. Just other funding is Enbridge and CFM, Canadian Fire Marshal. They have funding that help out. I know Enbridge gave us 15 for training. Just a thought. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thanks for that. Okay, anything further? So I'm going to call a question on the amended recommendation. All those in favor? And that's carried. We'll move on to item number 9.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. So item 9 is the Association of Municipalities Ontario Conference delegation request. The recommendation here is that the Operations Committee recommends that County Council approve the submission of delegation request for the Association of Municipalities Ontario Conference with the Ministry of Infrastructure to discuss funding opportunities for County Road 51, Petawawa Boulevard.
Okay, can I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation? Moved by the member from McNabb Braeside, seconded by the member from Renfrew. Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Chair. And through you, is a brief background here is so County Road 51 is the busiest road in the County of Renfrew. A number of years ago, previous council and previous operations committee gave us direction to create a shovel-ready Class A estimate project for what we are now calling phases of Petawawa Boulevard. The original thought was we'd twin Petawawa Boulevard from the Garrison all the way back to the intersection of Doran. Since that time, we've now broken it up into potentially a roundabout at the Garrison, a second roundabout at Doran Road, which is the one we're proposing to go to AMO for the delegation with. And again, it all fits with the very original plan of a twinning of Petawawa Boulevard at some point in time when funding is available, but it does fit with the overall scheme. So thank you.
Okay, any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's carried, and we'll move on to item number 10.
Thank you, Chair. Item 10 is a bylaw for Public Works policies, and the recommendation here is that the Operations Committee recommends to County Council that a bylaw be passed approving county policies PW01, which is roadway classification and design, and PW10, which is road occupancy permits. Thank you.
Can I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation? Moved by the member from Laurentian Valley, seconded by the member from Arnprior. Mr. Perkins.
Thank you again, Chair. So the background here is PW01 roadway classification and design. So following the February meeting of committee, staff provided the draft PW01. No comments or concerns were received from the lower tier on the proposed policy. Interestingly, policy PW10 road occupancy permits. So the County of Renfrew, of course, as you know, requires that a road occupancy permit be obtained by all persons, companies, utilities, agencies, or municipalities prior to commencing any work within the county allowances. Policy PW10 road occupancy permit was developed in 2006. However, it was never ever adopted as a corporate policy by bylaw. So in reviewing our policies over the last number of years, we'd like to put this into a bylaw, please.
So thanks for that. So just a question on PW10. So it wasn't done by bylaw, but was it a and a policy that we followed? Okay, fair enough. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that is carried.
Thank you, Chair. That concludes my section. Mr. Hanrath, Infrastructure is next.
Thank you for that. We'll move on to the Infrastructure Division report. Mr. Hanrath.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to committee, I present the infrastructure portion of the report. Item number 1 is a resolution, and it is County Road 2, White Lake Road, and 23 Highland Road speed study follow-up. And the recommendation is that the Operations Committee recommends to County Council that no adjustment in speed is required at this time for County Road 2, White Lake Road, or County Road 23, Highland Road.
Thank you. Can I get a mover and seconder for the recommendation? Moved by the member from Arnprior, seconded by the member from Laurentian Valley. Mr. Hanrath.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to committee, I'll attempt to summarize the background here. As committee may recall, this was originally This was last presented on March 7th meeting of Operations Committee, and the recommendation at the time was the same. When the recommendation was brought forward, it was requested that it be deferred until such a time that committees from McNabb-Braeside may provide further input. No further input has been received at this time. So in August 2022, 2 requests were received from the Township of McNabb-Braeside, one for speed reduction along County Road 2, White Lake Road, between Robertson Line and Kippen Road, and a second for a traffic study to be completed for County Road 2, White Lake Road, and County Road 23, Highland Road. Following this, at the January 9th meeting of Operations Committee, the results of the speed study and the recommendation of no reduction was presented. However, through Resolution OPC 230103, staff were directed to provide further information with regards to the speed counts. The further information is provided in the background here as well. So as far as the speed of the vehicles goes, 71% of vehicles are traveling at or below 80 kilometers per hour. 23% were traveling from 81 to 90 kilometers per hour. 4.5% were traveling 91 to 100 kilometers per hour. 0.5% or 0.6% were traveling over 100 kilometers per hour. The horizontal geometry of this section is relatively straight with some slight moderate curves. In 2017, a ball bank indicator test per the requirements of Ontario Traffic Manual Book 7 warning sign was completed on County Road 2, White Lake Road, in order to evaluate the horizontal curves and identify any which may require warning signage. The ball bank indicator test indicated 2 curves as shown in the map attached as Appendix IN3 as in need of warning signs. However, the county staff also included 70 kilometer per hour tabs, which were noted for the curve from the evaluation, but are not a requirement per OTM Book 6 for an 80 kilometer per hour posted road. Further, the vertical geometry has been evaluated as well. The downward grade from west to east averaging a grade of 2.2%, but reaching a grade as high as 8%. Per requirements of OTM Book 6, grades of 8% require a minimum length of 250 meters in order to warrant warning signage. The 8% grade in this section of County Road 2 is only sustained for approximately 50 meters, outside of which the grade lessens, which would still not meet the warning signage warrants. There is further information provided by OPP in the background as well, but I'll pause there to see if there's any questions about the recommendation or the background information.
Okay, I'll open it up to committee comments or questions. Member from McNabb-Braeside.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So there was a little bit of communication issues or whatnot. So we had the earlier item where we talked about reducing a greater section of White Lake Road. So that did come from our safety committee, which includes some former OPP, different public works professionals from their life. They're retired now. This recommendation is incongruent with the earlier one. So just wondering if we could line it up. In terms of Highland Road, I think that issue is done as far as McNabb-Braeside is concerned. We do have some speed signs up there. We accept the speed study, and we'd be okay with no change in the speed reduction on Highland Road. That seems to be under control now. I will note that in my opinion, the hardened shoulder on the mountain part of White Lake Road is a tremendous improvement. With all the curves, there's less people hitting the gravel, and you know, that's a big improvement. The reason why it came up in our public safety committee that to extend the area that we're interested in seeing a speed reduction in is because most of the fatalities did not actually happen on the mountain part. It happened on the flat part. And apologize that information hasn't been provided yet. I didn't send it for a couple of reasons. Our chief has been on medical leave for a couple of weeks, and he had the information. I couldn't quite get it from him. But secondly, noting the recommendation that staff will look at that wider area as well too, that would be appreciated. So I'm wondering if we can just adjust this recommendation and take off White Lake Road and leave it as Highland Road only.
Chair, if I may, just for
Sure, I just
clarification,
lost
sorry,
what I
through the
was-
committee. So what we're dealing with here is the resolution for, well, essentially was WABA in Highlands Road, and then this was actually the mountain portion of what we call the mountain up on White Lake Road. So what's happened here is staff has done the complete dissemination of all the information. So what we're saying is there's no need for speed reduction on that section. But since this report's been generated, McNabb Braeside has asked for the complete section of White Lake Road now, basically from Claybank Bridge all the way into the township of White Lake, so the full length of the road. So that's going to be another full speed study like you see here, but because it's now the whole road, we're going to do multiple stages along the road. What you see here will be times 10. So right now this is to deny this one, and then we'll actually start another one. Is that clear?
Okay, that was my understanding that this one, so this is the recommendation coming forward, but previously in the department report was the receipt of the new request for what Mr. Perkins just explained. So, member from McNabb Braeside.
Yeah, so just for clarification, and if this is denied, that doesn't affect the other request?
That's correct, it does not.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, anything further on this one? Member from Renfrew.
So I've been sort of chasing this conversation. I haven't caught up to it yet. What's going to happen today?
So in a minute or so, I'm going to call the vote on the resolution that's in front of us. And then basically it'll go back to the new request to expand the evaluation of that entire road that will be done in sections. So it'll be similar report to this. I don't know what the outcome will be, but the content will be like this, but for additional sections of the road. Supplementary.
In essence, from the county bridge through to the outskirts of White Lake, just as you dip down the hill towards the other little bridge that's got it.
Yeah.
So approximately 8 kilometers is my guess, 10 kilometers? Pardon me?
Sorry, through you, Chair, 7.2.
Okay.
Member from Arnprior.
I thought I had it straight. This motion is going to be, if it's passed, will not change the speed limit from the bridge to Highland. We're all agreed with that part.
Correct.
The next one that we dealt with this morning is from Highland toward Waba.
Correct.
So I see a no.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry for clarification. The one that we received this morning in my report was for the entire length of White Lake Road. So from Claybank Bridge, the county bridge, all the way into White Lake.
So when you say the entire road, my thoughts were, we've already done this one, you've already done the study, there's no sense in doing it again, in my opinion. We're only moving on to the new portion. So this one stays the same, and the next portion from Highland North, or South rather, would be a new traffic study. You're not going to do this one again for this portion when you say the entire road, correct?
Okay.
Sorry, Chair, thank you. Yes, that's correct. Actually, what we would use this information on the mountain section, but our technician will actually go back on the flat section and also on the upper section where it goes into White Lake, and then we'll combine all these reports because actually they're asking for 70, right? So we'll put all that factor together. But yeah, we should not need to do the mountain again because we have that information in front of us.
Okay, clear as mud now? Okay. So anyway, we're going to see this again. So, so anyway, I'll call a question on this part. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's carried. Now I've definitely lost my place. Miss. Oh, okay, turn the page. Item number 2, please.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to committee. Item number 2 is amendments for contract administration and construction supervision services for County Structure B044 Douglas Bridge and B310 Ski Hill Bridge. And the recommendation is that the Operations Committee recommends that proposal as submitted by Stantec Consulting Limited for contract administration and construction supervision services for the rehabilitation of County of Renfrew Structure B044 Douglas Bridge in the amount of $116,652.22 plus applicable taxes be approved, and further that an amendment to the current professional services agreement be executed, and further that a purchase order to authorize the services be issued. And there's a second recommendation here as well, and it is that the Operations Committee recommends that the proposal as submitted by Stantec Consulting Limited for contract administration and construction supervision services for the rehabilitation of B310 Ski Hill Bridge in the amount of $129,083.97 plus applicable taxes be approved, and further that an amendment to the current professional services agreement be executed, and further that a purchase order to authorize the services be issued.
Thank you for that. Can I get a mover and seconder for the recommendations? Moved by the member from Horton, seconded by the member from McNabb-Brayside. Background, please. Do we need 2 separate ones? Okay, well, let's do the first one. Let's do one right now.
To provide a summary of the background, so the design for these 2 structures was completed by Stantec Consulting Limited. Typically, whenever we issue an RFP for design services, we request a future cost for contract administration services. Then once the design is more concrete and we have a contractor on board, we request a updated proposal for contract administration and construction supervision services. Typically, if the price aligns with the original proposal, we would go that route. On these 2 occasions, the price is slightly higher than originally proposed, but that is because the original scope of work has increased higher than what was anticipated in the initial proposal. And it is anticipated that because they are the design consultants for these projects, that it would be most cost effective to go with this consultant rather than issue an RFP to bring in someone new, as they would rely on input from the design consultant as well for their contract administration services.
Okay, that kind of made it clearer for me. It was really muddy. Any comments or questions? And then I'll call a question on the first recommendation. All those in favor? And that's carried. And then can I have a mover and seconder for the second recommendation? Moved by the member from Armpire, seconded by the member from Laurentian Valley. I'm assuming the background's the same. So any comments or questions on this one? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? And that is carried.
Thank you, Chair. That concludes the infrastructure report.
Thank you for that. And we'll move on to the Operations Division report that can be found on page 62.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Doncaster, and through you I present the Operations Division report for May. Under information, item number 1 is winter operations. We're pretty confident that we can call winter over, although today was a little cool, but you'll see stats for April in Table 1, which will hopefully end out this winter season, and Table 2 will also tally all the significant weather events for the 22-23 season. And just to note that it is total precipitation amounts that are shown, so that'd be snow, rain combined, freezing rain combined. Item number 2 is spring load restrictions. The cessation of the load restriction program was effective May 8th, and notices were sent to the local newspapers all of the lower tiers and the newspaper, and also stakeholders. Item number 3 is fleet management, replacement of county pickup trucks. Originally, 7 light-duty pickup trucks were ordered in 2022, May of 2022, from Surgener Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac. And of these 7, 5 have been delivered and placed into service. The 6th pickup was delivered on April 20th, and we're working on placing that into service shortly. And the last pickup truck should arrive before the end of this month, so we'll hopefully wrap that up. It's been a long delivery date. Item number 4 is PWO 2023-05 steel signposts. A request for quotation was issued and received for steel signposts as follows. There were 3 submissions, as you can see here. 1 was retracted, and based on the submissions and the evaluation, the quotation was awarded to UCC Industries International in the amount of $42,688.01 plus applicable taxes, and it was awarded under the authority of the Director of Public Works and Engineering, and everything followed the procurement process, corporate policy GA01. And happy to note that the townships of Bonnechere Valley, Horton, Madawaska Valley, McNabb Braeside were all participants in this quotation, and the awarded amount includes the cost of the 4 participating municipalities, and the county will invoice each municipality for their portions. I don't know if you want to stop there for questions.
Sorry. Sure. So I'll move back to information item number 1, winter operations, table 1 and table 2. Item 2, the removal of the spring load restrictions. Member from Laurentian Valley.
Thank you, Chair. Just from my own understanding, I know that half loads are off a little earlier this year, and I know that one of the main criteria is frost coming out of the ground, but I wonder if you could just elaborate as to how the decision is made as to when the half load restriction is cut off, please.
Mr. Bolduc.
Thank you, Chair Doncaster, through you to Councillor Watt.
Because I don't know the answers.
Well, thank you very much for that question. So we do use a tool that we input all the weather criteria into. So all the current weather that's happened and the forecasted weather, as well as an outlook based on even previous year's weather. So that's put into a model, and it shows when the anticipated time for the restrictions to be lifted would be. We also reach out to all of our patrol supervisors that are patrolling the roads multiple times per week and watching what's happening with the roads, spring breakup, some heaving, all the different things that will happen in the spring. So we get their opinion, and then we also poll the manager of infrastructure and the director, and we all decide on when the best time is to pull it for the county.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anything else on item number 2? Item number 3, fleet management and the replacement pickup trucks. Item number 4, PWO 2023-05 steel signposts. And then we shall move on to item number 5, bylaws.
Thank you, Chair Doncaster. Under bylaws, item number 5, PWC 2023-01 County Road 1 River Road rehabilitation. And the recommendation is that Operations Committee recommends that contract PWC 2023-01 as submitted by McRae Excavation Limited, Pembroke, Ontario, for the rehabilitation of County Road 1 River Road from Lochwinnock Road to the Algonquin Trail, townships of McNabb, Braeside, and Horton in the amount of $804,530.75 plus applicable taxes be approved, and further that County Council pass a bylaw to authorize the execution of the contract.
Thank you for that. Can I get a mover and seconder for the recommendation? Moved by the member from Armpire, seconded by the member from McNabb Braeside. I guess we could have some background.
Thank you. The background, tenders were received as follows. 5 tenders were received. And you can see the chart for the financial implications and being in line with the budget and the projected and variance over-under amounts. Staff confirmed that there are sufficient funds in both the 2023 capital budget and the Algonquin's trail maintenance budget for the completion of this project as tendered. Staff have completed a detailed review, including meeting with the contractor, and are satisfied with the rates provided in comparison with the scope of work. So that, again, just to reiterate, there's some trail work included in this project as well.
Okay, thank you for that. Any comments or questions? I hope all of our tenders come in at this level. Okay, I'll call a question. All those in favor? And that is carried. We'll move on to item number 6, please.
Thank you. Item number 6 is PWC 2023-15, County Road 515 Palmer Road Rehabilitation. And the recommendation that Operations Committee recommends that contract PWC 2023-15 as submitted by Bonisher Excavating Incorporated, BEI, Renfrew, Ontario, for the rehabilitation of County Road 515 Palmer Road from 200 meters west of Southwest Patrol Yard to County Road 514 Chute Road, Township of Brudenell, Lindock, and Raglan, in the amount of $1,536,287.76 plus applicable taxes be approved, and further that County Council pass a bylaw to authorize the execution of the contract.
Thank you for that. Can I get a mover and seconder for the recommendation, please? Moved by the member from Laurentian Valley, seconded by the member from Arnprior. Background, please.
Thank you. Background on this project. 2 bids were received, as you can see. The table outlines the projected budget and the low tender. The financial implications would be there was an allocation of $2,880,870, and staff does confirm that there are sufficient funds in the 2023 capital budget for this project as tendered.
Thank you for that. I guess the same comment as before. Any comments or questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? And that is carried. And I guess I'll move back to, can I get a mover and seconder for the report as a whole? Moved by the member from Horton, seconded by the member from McNabb Braeside. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that is carried. Is there any new business? Any member of the committee? I'll give it to staff. Anything new? That's the last time I ever do that. I didn't have any notice of a closed meeting. I'm assuming that's still true. And then the date of our next meeting is Tuesday, June 13th, 2023, and it will be located in the municipal office of McNabb Braeside. Development Property Committee will meet in the morning, and then we'll meet in the afternoon. So I'm sure that Development Property would be happy to see us there as spectators. We'll spend the whole day in McNabb Braeside in their relatively new municipal office. Any comments or questions? Member from McNabb Braeside.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. It's indeed a privilege and honor to host the meeting, and those that were at the DNP meeting this morning have heard this, but those who weren't, I hope everybody sets aside some time to come and see the man shed, which is only a few kilometers away.
Okay. Is there anything set up for that, or?
Yeah, there'll be a parade, bagpipers.
I did, sorry.
Haggis and water.
They are expecting us. It's normally open 10 to 4.
I see.
So it'll be,
So this committee
they're
could
expecting for us.
stop in the morning.
You can bring your tool belt. They may have extras there, and anybody can show off their skills.
Fair enough. Mr. Kelly, you were squirming over there.
I was trying to find an email, sorry, and there's lots going on this morning. So just, I guess, a bit of a notice whether or not we can do this or not. We had received a request from the town of Petawawa this morning. They just last night passed a bylaw authorizing the use of ATVs in the town of Petawawa, and they're looking for kind of an expedient request or expedient response from the county of Renfrew, given that the season is upon us, and whether or not we deal with this with a special meeting or in June. So I just want to give some consideration for that, just letting you know that request has come in. And it's a little odd that we would do this to this committee to say we have news coming to you, but wanted to see how we're going to deal with this in the coming weeks and days.
Okay, thanks. I thought you were going to try to ask us to do this today.
Yeah, by the way, can you approve?
So
No, we're not.
I just on that note, not to extend this at all, but that was one of the provisions of the process that the town of Deep River went through was once the county approves the county roads in our municipality, then we would move forward with a bylaw. So, which was what happened last council meeting after the county did this.
So I guess it may require a special meeting. I'm just cognizant of the
Sure.
request, and I think they are looking to. We're anxious to work with our local municipalities on issues like this, and they're hopeful to get it enacted at some point in June. If we wait till June committee, that doesn't mean enacting it until July, right? So that's why we're looking at.
So notice that I may call a special meeting of the operations committee before the next council meeting, like in the morning before the council meeting. So, and it shouldn't take too long. So, okay, anything further? So County Council, Wednesday, May 31st. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by the member from Armpire, seconded by the member from Horton. All those in favor? Carried. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.